You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 76. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest, he is the founder and owner of Curbside Appeal, LLC. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure you all will be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with David Baxter. David, how's it going, man?
Everything's well. How are you, man?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, sir. Of course, we're here to talk about Curbside Appeal, LLC. But before we go there, let's get to know the man behind the brand. What's your story?
Well, so of course, my name is David Baxter. I'm originally from Rochester, New York, upstate New York. So just to kind of get an acclimation of that between Buffalo and Syracuse. I moved to Alabama back in 2007, Birmingham area, stayed there for a while. And actually, that's where I came up with not necessarily the idea of curbside appeal, but more so the idea of curbside appeal was birthed in Birmingham when I was up there. I was living in some apartments up there, and they were offering valet trash service, which is something I had never heard of. So it kind of made me mad or pissed me off that I had to pay a monthly fee for someone to take my trash out. So I was extremely stubborn, and even though I would pay the monthly fee, I wouldn't even leave the trash at the door. I would take it out on my own. Until like maybe a year or two later, it was like we had a bad storm up there. And I was like, man, I ain't going out there to take out this trash. So I was reluctant and left the trash at the door. So I did it that night, and I was like, okay, cool. Did it another night, and it just so happened like one of the nights that I left it out, I was leaving the house, and I saw there was an older gentleman, and he had some young kids, maybe his grandkids. They were out there collecting the trash and just dumping it in his pickup truck. And he was just sitting in the truck, just driving, and then he drove to the dumpster and disposed of it. So I'm like, so this guy is getting my $30 a month just to do this? I said, you know what? This is something I could do. So that pretty much birthed Curbside Appeal. That was back in I want to say 2012. That's when I started the journey. And then it kind of mutated into what it is now, where I still offer the valet service for apartment communities and senior living communities, but I also include junk removal, on-call junk removal for just anyone, not only residential, but commercial. So if a store, their dumpster might be full and a dumpster company is not going to come for the next 2 or 3 days or so, I'll come clear that for them. Or apartment complexes, their compactors down, I'll clear that for them. Or just your average person, hey, I got new furniture, I got to get rid of the old, I'll come take care of it for them.
Wow, man, what an amazing story. Appreciate you sharing. So let's back up a little bit to Rochester, New York. So I know you say that's where you're from and you moved down to Alabama in 2007. So what were some of those cultural differences you noticed when you got down in Alabama from New York?
Yeah, so, well, I'll say this. It wasn't too much of a shock. And that's only because both of my parents are from Alabama. So every year I would come to Alabama every year, but my family, they're from a little small town called Louisville, Alabama. It's in Barber County. So growing up, honestly, that was my only exposure to Alabama. So the country and the rural life of Alabama, that's all I was accustomed to. So when I moved here in 2007, to be honest, that's what I was expecting. So my culture shock was a little different than most people when they moved to the South. I had never been to Montgomery, had never been to Birmingham. So to see the activities in these cities and how big they were, like that blew my mind. Like, oh, they actually have big cities here. So that honestly blew my mind. I honestly was looking forward to the slower country style lifestyle. That's something, it just attracted me as a kid and growing up. And that's something I really wanted to kind of embrace. But when I moved to Birmingham, that definitely changed everything for me. So
okay, makes perfect sense. Family from down this way, so okay, wasn't too much of a culture shock. And I saw on your website that you're a veteran-owned business, man. Thank you for your service. First things first. Um,
Thank you.
how long did you serve?
So currently still serving. So I'm actively on my 22nd year of service. I've done 6 years in the Army, and then the remaining time has been in the Air Force Reserve. I'm right down at Maxwell right now.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Still up in there rocking and rolling 22 years and counting. That's dope, man.
Yes.
So what's been your most fun duty station since you've been in?
Puerto Rico. That was fun. that was a very it was just beautiful. My first time being in Puerto Rico, kind of that whole, beach and ocean atmosphere. That was my first time ever experiencing that. And to be honest, no, that wasn't the first time I've left the state, but that was the first time I've left the continental states to do something fun. Now I have been deployed like to Iraq and things like that, but I don't count that as fun. But so so, but yeah, I spent a month in Puerto Rico, and that was just beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. Shout out to the PR. I haven't been over there, but I've heard great things about it. You just keep confirming what I've already heard. It's a beautiful place over there.
Oh, definitely.
That's amazing. So back to Curbside Appeal. So you started in 2012. What inspired that name? Very intriguing name.
Yeah. So, when I came up with the idea or the thought to even start the business, I was just trying to figure out something that would stick out. Like, what would be my motivation of doing this valet service? And so my motivation for doing this, offering a service to apartments, is to, appeal to the residents and, to attract residents. So generally, I know in the housing industry, that curb appeal, you want that curb appeal that's going to draw the attention to the future homeowner or resident. So I kind of just put it all together. So the curbside appeal, I couldn't use curb appeal because it was already taken. So the curbside appeal kind of just fit in from there.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Very organic story behind how you came up with the name. Now that's amazing, man. Good stuff. So you pretty much already ran down the services and products and services that you're offering, valet
Mhm.
service, and so so we can delve right into the next portion. Whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to cover three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. You've already covered your aha moment. You were in Birmingham. You got you got a little upset and you got
Yeah.
fired up and you made some things shake. So let's talk about the action portion. From the time you had your aha moment, how long did it take you to take action towards coming up with a name and getting moving in the direction of getting started?
So I would say it took about a year. So I honestly, I have to give full credit to my ex-wife. So back, yeah, when I was in Birmingham, I was previously married, and she was what would you call it, a repetitive entrepreneur or a repetitive business owner. She had ran several of her own businesses that she had, started from ground up. So I've known her ever since we were a child. So when we got married, I got to introduce to this side of her, the entrepreneur side of her, which was it was different for me. I grew up in a house. My dad, he worked from sun up to sundown, like literally. He would work shift hours at Eastman Kodak, come home, then he would go. He was a painter too, around this, like well known around the city. So people would have him painting. So when he's off of work, he's out painting. And then if he's not doing either of that, then he was a minister. So I got this work ethic, like just work, grind, work, work, work. And my brothers, same way. We just have that instilled in us. So I've always just had the idea, okay, let me just get a good job, work hard, excel in the corporate ladder, or just excel in whatever career field I'm in, and just retire and just chill. That was my mindset. But when she came along and introduced this entrepreneur lifestyle, it opened up my eyes. Like, man, I work hard. Like, why not work hard doing something that I really enjoy, not something to benefit someone else? So that kind of opened me up the idea. So when I presented her at the time, when I saw about the whole valet trash, we weren't together, but I told her about it. And I was like, you know what? They offer this service here. And then it clicked with her. She was like, man, if that's all you got to do, you can do that yourself. And once she told me that I could do it, I was like, all right, well, let's go. So everything started literally right then and there. Once she gave me gave me the intuition that, hey, I can do it as well. And she kind of gave me the blueprint, as far as filing for your business licenses, registering your name. She gave me the blueprint for to start a business, and I just ran with it. Man. That's how it went.
Wow, man, that's an amazing story, and that pretty much answers my last question, which was going to be about audacity. It takes audacity, courage to step out there and get started, take action on your idea. So it sounds like your ex-wife, she was the one, she was that source of that
Yeah.
gave you that audacity to step out there.
Definitely, definitely. Now, I will say I'll back up a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
after start, that was just getting it started. So after I got it started, now the next step was getting clients. Now that was the tough part, and that kind of, to be honest, that kind of put I guess kind of damper my spirit a little bit because that was hard trying to convince these companies and these apartments like, hey, won't you trust this strange guy that just moved to Alabama to come to your apartment pick up the trash? So I don't have no history, so trying to build a storyline that will be comfortable for them to accept me in. That took a lot of effort, and I got turned down quite a bit. So it was very very downing, and I gave up. I'm not gonna say I gave up, but I put it down for a while. So I had to get that energy back up, and to be honest, it took 10 years before I can get it back up to restart this, and that's kind of where I'm just restarting it here in Montgomery. So yeah, it takes a lot of faith and belief. Like I really had to get that belief in my mindset again that I can do it, and then just trust the process. And I believe even through those 10 years of kind of rejection, I didn't necessarily just stop cold turkey. I still was learning. I was going to different events, learning different things that would be beneficial for the business. And it just finally, I'll say literally last year, everything just kind of clicked and it meshed all together. Everything I learned from 2012 all the way up to the beginning of last year just kind of merged together, and it just flowed. And this is where I'm at right now.
Wow, man, I appreciate the transparency, man. So for 10 years, it was just kind of stagnant. So you said you just you got that spark that reignited the drive. So take me back to that moment when you got that spark again to go after it.
Oh man, so that one it's really a lot to unpack on that portion. So okay, we're going to start at the beginning of last year, 2022. Um, I was preparing for my last deployment with my unit here at 908. Because I'm an aircraft electrician. We were getting rid of our planes. This was the last trip that these planes were going on, and I was going. So I'm getting ready for the trip, and it was just a lot going on with me personally at the time. So it was like it was going to be a career change. My wife, she was going through a career change. So it was like, man, am I even going to still be here in Alabama? So I was kind of going to put the business back on the shelf again until we figure things out. So I go on this deployment, and mid deployment, there's a guy, and I got a shout out. He's one of my business partners, Tavares Finley. He I've known him the whole time. He's a part of my unit. I don't even know how the conversation started. We just randomly just started talking, and I just told him about my business. And me telling him about my business, I guess sparked something in him. And he fell in love with the idea of what I was doing. And he was like, man, you gotta really push that. He like, that's a good business. And he was like just speaking into my business without knowing, other than just me talking about, yeah, I got this business idea that I'm sitting on. He just ran with it, like, man, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it was like, it kind of motivated me and pushed me at the same time. Like, man, if he believe in me, I got to do something. So, and not only was he just, I'll say this, like, you get a lot of people they'll give you kind words, words of encouragement. But not only was I getting that from him, he was stepping out. Like I said, literally, I just mentioned it to him, and he just jumped off. He jumped into it deep. He started calling apartments while we were in Afghanistan. He's calling apartments from Afghanistan here in Alabama, telling them about my business and this, that, and the other. So I'm like, if he's going in hard, I can't let him go harder than I am. So I just started back at it, and that was, I would say, about October-ish of last year. So I started pushing in. That's when I started my videos and started doing advertisements on Facebook. And I started to kind of mesh everything together. So getting my website kind of locked up tight, and not knowing, literally maybe a few weeks after that, there was going to be a shift in the military. So just another transparent moment. So and with the military, back earlier in the year, they had the mandate with the vaccine. Now, me, I never was, or never have been like an anti-vaxxer, but I just wasn't feeling comfortable with it. So I just wasn't, it just wasn't sitting right with me. So I chose not to do it. So as a result, that kind of put my military career in jeopardy, because at that time, if you didn't do it, there was nothing more to it other than they were kicking you out. So now I got this on my head. I got my career that I've been doing for 22 years is on hold or in jeopardy. And then I got this business that hasn't done anything, but I need to start putting some energy into it. So that kind of put a little bit more of a push behind me, like, hey, I already see the writing on the wall on my military side. So let's go full force on this business. So I'm doing all of this while I'm overseas and limited resources and everything. So I'm pushing. We get home, and of course everything that I expected to happen with the military happened. So I did get kicked out. So I got kicked out, and or I'm not gonna say kicked out. I was forced out because of I'm not complying, and so I was kind of put in a position to retire. So that in turn also caused me. I was working as a federal service. I worked a federal service job due to my connection to the military. I had to resign from there because of that. So even more of a push. Okay, this business has to go. It has to jump off. And so I'm going through all of this on top of my wife telling me she's pregnant. So that was my motivation all together to get this business going. So I'll say, with all of that going on, I'm thankful that, it started off with my friend giving me that push, and me just, not even giving up on it. And I'm to me, I'm still in amazement at how far this business has gone in that short amount of time. It's kind of unbelievable. It's scary at times, to be honest.
Man, that's amazing, man. And once again, I appreciate your transparency and just everything you went through, and your friend mentioning, or your friend not only talking the talk but walking the walk, and like making those calls and making those moves. And that's some unfortunate news that happened with military career, but things happen. And hey, I'm not here to judge nobody's decision. You said it didn't sit right with you, and that's your decision, and it's all good in my book, man. I mean, people have to do what's best for them, so that's all good, man. And it's just shout out to you, man, just for even 10 years, man, of a dream that's dormant, and just getting back on that horse, so to say, and and just reigniting the dream, and just being. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you, man, just what I gathered from your story, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're back up against the wall. It forced you into growing this thing.
Oh yes, it definitely forces you, especially you being it's not only just being a man, but being a husband and a father. I have a 6-year-old, and then, like I said, now my daughter, she's here now. But at the time, expecting, and your wife, you can't. I didn't grow up in a household where my dad just sat back, so I had to do something, So just giving up and just falling back, it just wasn't an option. So that's what it was.
Yes, sir. You said something else too earlier about limited resources. I disagree. You had everything you needed all along, man. You just needed the circumstances to force
You're right.
force it out of you.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Man, it's so amazing, man. We really underestimate what we're capable of. You know that?
And man, up until it gets to that point, you're like, man, how did it, and like I said, that's why I'm so much in amazement, because looking at it, it looks like, I'm in such a lacking position, or of of a dire situation. And it really wasn't. It was just a matter of I'll say a lot of faith, and just a lot of just hard work. I mean, and nothing, hard work doesn't hurt nobody. just do it. Just put your one foot forward and just keep moving, man. It all works out.
Yes, sir. Like faith and the word I love to use in place of faith is audacity, man. Like that's really what it takes to go out there
Definitely,
and go get what you want,
definitely.
man. So nah, man, that's great stuff. Appreciate the transparency, man. So Curbside Appeal has done great things, and I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What
Mhm.
are your short-term and long-term goals for the business?
So yeah, so as of right now, short term is definitely right now the business has been flourishing on my junk removal. So this year I'm focusing more so on the valet to get those contracts at these apartment complexes. There's only I want to say like two other companies that I know of in Alabama that offers my service for apartment communities. So my vision is to to be butt head and head with those guys this year on that service on the junk removal. It's on auto drive right now. That's just going. Um, so that's more of a short term and the long term. And this is really my vision for the business initially. Not only just making money for my family, but like my immediate family, kids and wife. But I've always looked at this business as an opportunity to provide income for other people, like my surrounding, my just my community. So what I'm looking for and I'm planning on doing, and I tell everyone about it. I was like, you know what, I've gone through the steps. I got the blueprint. I want to drop curbside appeal in every state where my friends live, my family live. I want my family to run the business there. I want it to be an opportunity for my young cousins or family friends that are the kids are when they're out of school or high school students need jobs. I want this to be an opportunity for them to, have a little side hustle, make some money while they're in school. Or it doesn't even have to be young kids, older. You just want that little extra money on the side. I mean, it's easy work, I'm out each job, maybe an hour and a half. You just want to make some extra money. I have an uncle down in Louisville. He already offered he told me a month ago, he's like, hey, I got a truck, I got the trailer. So all I got to do right now, I just got to start promoting it for him down there, get him to work. He just wants some extra cash in his pocket. So that's my ultimate vision is to expand curbside appeal outside of Alabama. It's going to be across America, and it's going to be a business that is for community and family. That's my whole thing. And that's why I focus so much even on my customer service. Every customer I deal with, I take the time to get to know them, get to talk with them, and just I share my story with them. Every customer, just about if you talk to any of my customers, they could probably tell you my whole history because I'm going to sit there and talk to them. I'm going to get to know. I'm going to know about them, where they come from, what they're doing, why they're doing what they do, and build relationships. So that's what it is.
Yes, sir. And those some great short-term and long-term goals, and I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And even that portion about that customer service, like just getting to know your customers, telling your story, like that's what people buy into. But like, believe it or not, people don't really necessarily, well, just from my own experience and just from people I know personally, like people buy into the story. Like the product can be the product, but the story
Yeah,
behind it is what really gets us intrigued in most
yeah.
cases.
Yeah, and and even too, like telling my story, it opens up a door. Like I said, getting to know them. Like I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I ended up just like I said, just talking to one of the customer. Coming to find out, she's from my hometown. So we connected, and not only was she from my hometown, she was a small business owner. So I connected with her. She does a lot of holistic items like your shea butters and different things like that. So I ended up purchasing. I got a handful of items from her, and I put her out there whenever someone mentions things. So she's someone I put out there, and then I meet so many tons of like just good people just by doing that. Just being generally nice and generally friendly, you meet so many good people. So it's just what it's worth it.
Yes, sir. No, that's good stuff, man. So as we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness of Montgomery. Whether you're from
Mm-hmm.
here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it military, college, you being here from New York, transitioning to Birmingham, and now doing business in Montgomery, I want to ask you, what do you appreciate the most about the Gump?
Man, the people, I say that to every time someone asks me, like, what? Why are you in Montgomery? I love the people of Montgomery. It's something about the people of Montgomery they're just warm. Jeez, I just got a short little story. So when I first got here, I had no intentions to actually live in Montgomery. I was just here for a temporary stay, and I was going right back to Birmingham. So that I had rented out a room, and I was just walking in the neighborhood, and there was this older lady. She was out doing her yard. I just spoke, said hello. Then when I can't circle back around, she started a small conversation. So again, we start talking and introduced myself. And her family were having dinner. And she was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, you can come on over and have dinner with us." Like that just like blew my mind. Like I've seen you 2 times today, ma'am, and you already invited me into your house to have dinner. So stuff like that, I've experienced that ever since I've been in Montgomery, and it's hooked me, and I love it.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's all good, man. That's a great story. Like it's just, I mean, like Montgomery, like any other city in the world, it has its spots that
Yeah.
you shouldn't be at or whatever, what have you. It has its good and bad. But yeah, that sums
Mm-hmm.
up Montgomery in one word, family. Like people will treat you like family down here.
Definitely, definitely. I love it.
Yes, sir. So how can the people connect with you, David? What are your social media handles and website?
All right, definitely. You can catch me on Facebook, Curbside Appeal LLC. My website is curbsideappealwaste.com. And you can catch me on there. You can book me online. I have a online booking service on the website. So you got just like I say, any general bulk junk removal, just give me a call or text me. My phone number is 205-420-2435. And you can catch me on Instagram as well, Curbside Appeal LLC.
Yes, sir. And of course, I'll put all of the information in the description of the episode. Hey, David, thanks again for the conversation, man. I really appreciate you.
No problem. I appreciate you even letting me have an opportunity to show my business and to kind of show myself here on your podcast.
Yes, sir. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumtown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Gone. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.